Namaste, Vanakkam, Assalamu alaikum. I'm your host Chetan. Today I'm gonna discuss and I'm gonna explain you about a project that I have been recently worked on. So it's been built basically using the PERN Stack technology. Well, there are some other ways to implement full stack web development like PERN Stack and other stacks, but I have been using the PERN Stack now because it's been very used to me. So PERN Stack will have PostgreSQL, Express, and ReactJS. Finally, NodeJS. Well, PostgreSQL is used for database management and as well as database manipulation. So Express is a server which used to connect the database with our backend. So and ReactJS is a JavaScript framework which is used to build the front end to give the which is also utilizes the bootstrap css framework. Along with it, it will generate and it will enable us to create beautiful front-end applications. And node.js is a back-end application. It is also a javascript framework which enables us to connect the express server with the react.js front-end application, and overall we can get a well-developed full stack web developed app. So let us build the PERN Stack full stack web development app. So for any app development, we need a directory, right? So let me just create the main directory now. In projects, let me create a new project. Let's name it as project 123. Yeah, within project 123, I need to have two folders. One is for client and another is for server. Okay, right now I don't need client folder, so I'm deleting it. I need only server folder. So let me go through the terminal in this path. So I have opened the terminal in this path. So right now we are under server directory. So let me install let me have some commands here. npm init. So this particular command will enable us to keep track of all the packages or all the files that is being handled in the server folder. Okay, now it's time for us to install some important dependencies. npm install express pg course. Each term has its own significance. Well, express used to build the server files which utilizes the node.js, and pg is a PostgreSQL module which has the capability to connect the Postgres database with our Express server. And course, we need course in order to transfer the data between the applications. Like we need to transfer the data from database to server and then server to client as well, right? So we need course as well, and we also need some other dependencies like npm install nodemon and .env. Also in dev. So the reason why I am installing this nodemon and .env will be clarified when I go further into this server. So let me code this up. So in order to code the server, I need a code editor. So one of the popular code editor is VS Code. So let me open in this directory. So the VS Code only gets opened if you have already installed in your PC. So you can see this is the server. So but we don't need to open the VS Code in this server directory. Let me change the directory to one step backward. Now here I need to open the VS Code. Yeah, this is our project. This is our project directory, and within that we have the server file. You can also observe in package.json that we have injected the dependencies of course, express, and pg as well, and dev dependencies are .env and node monax as well. So now all we need to do is install, create the actual server.js app. It can be any name. I'm just calling it as index.js. Now we need to code this up. I have already built the project as I said, so I'm just copying the data from my project. Let me open up my project. Yeah, yeah. Here you can see this is the index.js file where the actual server is being loaded. Yeah. Let me just copy this, paste it over here. Yeah. I also need another file for database management. I'll call this as db.js. This also requires some code. That's it. And let me explain you what all this code do. So before going to the server, let me explain the database. So here we are importing the PG dependency, where this PG dependency or module will have all the required classes and functions that were required us to connect the server with the database. So in order to use the PostgreSQL as our database, we need to create some client on it. So client doesn't mean that it is a front end. Client I am implying here as a way to fetch the data from the database. So to create any client, we need the PG module. So from PG module, I am importing the pool. Pool means it is a pool of clients. Okay. From the pool, I am creating the one client as an object. So it is a basic JavaScript syntax to create any new object. So for the pool, I am creating a new pool. So to create a new connection, to establish a new client with the server and the database, I need this information like username, what's the host name, what's the DB name, and DB password. So all this information I'm getting from process.env. So I also need this file as well. Let me create that file as well. .env. Yeah, this .env will have all the sensitive information. Let me just copy paste that as well. Yeah. Yes, I have acquired all this data. I'm hiding the DB password because it's based on your thing and it's all sensitive data, so I'm not gonna make it public. So this will be this will be based on your database adjustments. You can adjust your data. You can adjust your parameters based on your database. So let me go through the remaining parts. Yeah, index.js. I have completed discussing about db.js. Now I have created a pool out of the pool module. So from this, and now I have a client which is capable of connecting to the database. So I will call the connect method from that object. So what this connect method will do is it will connect our server with the database. So in order to do so, it will get a client, and if any error occurs during the connection, I will get that this er variable will hold that error, and if it is a not null, that means an error has already occurred. So if in that case, to let us know that, it will log the console with this. So if it is bypasses this, that means connection has, that means connection is successfully happened. Now we need to cross check whether the client is capable of executing the query or not. Select dot select star from customers one. This doesn't mean that we are uh, we are we are fetching all the data from the customer here. It is only because it is only gives us implication that client is now capable of querying the data or not if this statement executes perfectly. If at all, if there is any error occurs during this execution, the error variable will hold that error, and that will be indicated as error executing the query. So this simply means that there is no error while connecting the database, but there is only error will be there when executing the query. So that's why we are not using the results as well. So if it bypasses these two conditions, that means our pool is now successfully connected to the database, and as well as it is capable of querying the database. So finally we can say that database is successfully connected. Finally we are exporting this module. In React we should, in Node.js or in JavaScript, we need to export this thing such that we can utilize this file wherever in any component we have required this. So in order to, now we are using, just like an example, we are here using en.env. For that reason I have required this .env here, and that is also the reason why I have installed this dependency in the first place. Next, let me explain about the index.js. Now here I am requiring the express module in order to establish the express server qualities for this, and app indicates that this whole index.js is an express app. Now this is the middleware component where our server is going to connect with the front end. So I will come back to this later. Now let me explain you about the base logic of this server, what actually this server do. So as I said, we have a requirement here as pool, so we need to import that as well. So we are requiring the pool from the db.js file. So we have acquired this port number. We can give any port number we want, just make sure that that port is available to use. Now what this get method do is, it will have two parameters, one is request, one is response. Request will be sent from the front end part, and based on that request we will have to send a response back to that front end part. So let us assume a request has been sent. So from that request we will have to take the search data and sort data, page data, and order data. Why all these are coming from the request, I will explain when I am explaining the front end part. Okay, just assume that from the front end part we are getting the request for these all items. This is the query that is going to be applied on the database. It simply says that select star from customer one where customer name alike the search data or location alike the search data. Order by the sort by and sort order will be mentioned, and off limit. I will explain each and every component here. Such data will be got from the request as well. So the front end request will send us the search data. Based on that search data, we'll have to search in our table. Is there any name or is there any location having a substring as that search data? So if at all, if it finds any customer name or any location having the substring or the main string as this search data, it will get all those columns. So order by, sort by. This sort by order will have a creation time or creation date. So why I have used this syntax, I will explain it in the database part. So, and now the sort order can be possible in two ways. One is ascending order, one is descending order. So that is also will be based on the order data. So that order data will be passed by the request as request only. Off limit simply says that how many records has to be rendered on the screen on the current page. Okay, now we're sending the response. So response dot json data dot rows. So data is something that we got by applying this query on the database. It will await until the query has been executed. So since we have used the await here, we need to provide the syntactically async here, because now this method becomes an asynchronous method. Well, there are two types of methods: synchronous methods and asynchronous method. Synchronous methods are the methods that execute quickly, like in instant of time. There is no delay. Well, asynchronous methods will take certain time, like milliseconds only, but it will be some time, right? So until we are not using await, we don't need to have an async there. Since we are using the await here, we need a async syntax there. So this data will wait until this query will be executed on the database. After that, the data will be stored in this data variable. So in this data variable, there will be multiple keys available, like its database name and some unwanted stuff. So records will be stored on rows key only. So that is why that is the reason behind the data.rows usage here. So all these records will be JSON and then sent back to the response. This response will be sent to the front end part. So the main thing is this the query, and all these placeholder values will be sent from the request, and based on that data will be fetched, and that fetched data will be sent to the response as to the front end side. That's the thing. This line simply says that whatever the port number that we have mentioned here is actively listening or not. It will listen. This whole app will listen in this port only. So whatever the changes that is happening on that port will be rendered synchronously. That's how this index.js works. Now let us execute all this such that we could know that is our server is connecting with database or not. And as your information, I am already created the database in backend, so no need to worry. I'll show you that thing also. Yeah, we got a terminal here. So let me cd to the server. Yeah, here we need to change some changes to the package.json. Like I'll show you this def need to server. Yeah, so what it does is whenever I give a command here like npm run dev, what it does is it will start the index.js by applying the nodemon dependency, dev dependency. The advantage of using nodemon dependency is that it will automatically refresh the server based on the changes and whenever we save the changes. So we don't need to manually compile the whole thing. So let me showcase you that. Yeah, as you can see, the database is being connected successfully. From this we can say that the connection is established successfully, and as well as client is now capable of querying the database. So our database is connected. That's what we can say from this statement. Now it's time for us to create the front end part. Let me close the server and open a new folder, not in the server, in the project I mean. For that I would be needing a new terminal. So I'm creating a new terminal here. Yeah, I'm now in project 123. I will create a new folder here. Make directory CLI client. So you can see we got a new folder client here. So within this client we should create the React app. For that I will require a command here. npm CLI client. So npx create React app. Yeah, we must give the React app name as well. I'm creating the React npm create React app client. So here a React app will be created. Wait some time, it will take some time. Yes, as you can see the React app has been built. Now we need to npm start the client. This will start the React app in the in default localhost 3000. Yeah, you can see it's starting now. See, it's been loading. Localhost 3000. Yeah, our React app has been started. Now it's our time to design our front end. So let me open the client folder. Here we can find public as well as src file. Well, in src file it is actually the entering point of our app. This is where actual front end designing all works. In public folder, this is all the structures that this front end actually requires. Not much, but the whole process will happen src file, in src file only. So here I may not require some files, so I will delete those files from here. So I don't need logo, JS, I don't need it. Don't worry, those errors will gone. .js, I need to remove this. And in index.js I need to remove this as well. Because of that I need to remove all this also. Yeah, you can now see an empty space where we can actually develop our app now. So in app.js, we can use a center tag. I'm just using this to make things center, not much. Hello. Yeah, we can see that there is something is happening. Let me give a h1 tag to make things clear. Yeah, so we have successfully connected to the front end now. So all we need to do is make this look good and bring the functionality. So I have already bring that in my project. I have used these all folders and this process to make things clear that this is the process to develop this file. So let me open my project that I have built. So in projects directory, project, this is my project. Let me open this up. Yeah, let me just open up my project. So we are currently up on my project directory. Now we need to go to the server directory in order to start the server. So let me change the directory to the server. Yeah, we are in now server directory. We need to start the server now. So command is, yeah, you can see we have connected to the database. That means our server is now successfully connected to the database. So it's time to start the client server as well. It's time to start the client React app as well. Let me change the directory to the client. So we're in client now. Let me start the client by saying npm start. Yeah, now client is opening up. Yeah, as you can see, we have got this output. So let me just demonstrate you how this front-end functionality has been working. After that, I will be explaining how each and every component has got that functionality to that. So you can see that this page has 20 records. So we can say that this page got the 20 as pagination. So our our database has 50 records in it. So remaining records will be in forward or next pages. To get to those records, we need to click on the next. As you can see, next 20 records has been fetched, and remaining 10 records also here. It's not necessary that you have to only click on the next or previous to switch between the pages. You can click on the individual page numbers as well. It's completely depends on the user. This is the pagination functionality. Now let me explain about search by location or search by name. So the moment we provide any text there, it will be instantly compared with the customer name string as well as location string. If ch is part of either if ch is either part of customer name or location, it will be fetched to our screen. As you can see, ch is common in location for all this Chennai and Chandigarh people, but here we can see it is common in name. So we can say that we can search either by providing name or we can provide by location. That's how the search functionality works. Now let me provide you about idea about sort by date. So you can see that records has another column called created at, under which it has date as well as time. So by default you can see based on the time and in descending order all the records have been sorted. So if I need to sort the records based on the date, I can simply click on the sort by date button. As you can see, the moment I have clicked on the date sort by date button, the records have been sorted in descending order by default. If I want to toggle this, that means descending order to ascending order, I can simply do again clicking on the same button. You can see the present sorting order can also be indicated by this button. Let's sort by the time. You can see it is sorted by in descending order. Let me toggle that. You can see the order have been changed now. So it is been said that we can change the order of sorting for either by date, for either by time, it doesn't matter, by simply using this toggle button. You can see now time sorting is toggling. If you don't need, you can toggle the sorting of date as well. You can see based on the date sorting, we are now toggling that sort order. So that is the basic functionality of this overall page. Now let me explain how I have achieved this functionality. For that, we need to go to the code editor. So let me open up my code editor here. Yeah, as you can see, this is my client app, client folder, and this is my server folder. So within server folder, it's the same thing. The index.js, which is used to build up our server and processing the query, and db.js, which is actually used to connect to the db that we have already built using PostgreSQL, and .env will have this information. Now let me open up the client server. Here within src, that is source file, you can get to see that app.js. Here the base logic all about. I will explain each line and each and every word, what does it mean and what its significance as well. So for that, let me show you that here in server, you get to see that I have told you request will be sent from front end. So this request will now be sent from the front end, right? So I will show you how we are sending that request. See, we are creating a new URL object using this keyword, new keyword, and with this URL, a new URL object has been created, and by using search params, concatenating these params, we can send this request to the backend, that is server. So that's how the server and our front end is been connecting. So because the reason why we have used 5000 here is our server is rendering its data in that port, so we have to send the request in the same port in order to get the data. Okay, here we can see that this is a get data function. What does it actually do is it will fetch the data based on the URL that you have passed to it. It will call the method, that is a get method. Why I have used get method? You can see in server index.js is of get method, so I have to mention the method type also as get. So the content type is JSON. Obviously I have told you about the JSON types, and the reason why this method is being declared as async is this is an In within this method we are using await function, which means that fetch function is not going to return the data in an instant time, so it's going to take certain time. So response should wait until it fetches the data. So regarding that, we need to mention syntactically it is a asynchronous function, and as well as after getting the data we need to destructure it by using the JSON. So JSON data, now this JSON data will be a array. So array of all the JSONs of records. Each JSON file will be a record, and all the JSONs will be within a array. Okay, what this set data will do, I will explain you. So there is a concept called state management in ReactJS. That is, there will be a variable whose value is going to be changed in future. So in order to change the variable's value, there will be another variable called set variable. So I am importing the use state from the React library, and here I am declaring the 5 different use, that is state management variables. Here one will be the data, which is an empty, which will be an empty array in the beginning, because there will be no data to be fetched until we fetch the data from the database. So search data, this is what we entered in the input box for the location. It may be location, or it may be name as well. So where we have used this search data we have passed through the URL, and this URL is requested the index.js. See here, we got the search data from the request and stored it in the search data. This search data is then passed to the customer like and location alike function. So that's how it worked. Now another state variable here, sort data. Sort data by default, you have observed in previous my demonstration that by default the data is been sorted in based on the time, because it is only because I have mentioned here time. If I mention here date, it will be by default sorted by date. I can show you that as well. Yeah, let me reload the page. You can see by default based on the date it's been sorted. Now let me change it to the date. Save, and here reload. Yes, you can see now the data is been sorted in descending order and based on the date. You may ask why it is only descending order. I will explain it in next step. Yeah, here page data. Page data is nothing but how and how many records to be displayed on the current page. I will explain that later. Now focus on order data. So the ordering the data can be in two ways. One is ascending order and another is descending order. So true is for descending, I have mentioned in the comment. It is because the moment I send the order data to the URL and get that URL in the server, and you can see order data, I have written the logic here, like if the order data is true, the sort order will be descending. If the order data is false, the sort order will be ascending. Accordingly, a sort order will be placed. That's why for the true value, the sort order is getting descending order. So if in case if it is false, it's gonna get into the ascending order. I will demonstrate that as well. Go to the app.js. Here, let us change it to false. You can see now it is in ascending order. You may consider it as date, you may consider it as time. Nothing gonna change. Everything will be in the ascending order. That is about state management and default values of the state variables. Now how we gonna change these values? That is how we gonna use the set data or set search data. So for that we're gonna require some input field. So here you can see it is a search input field up to, oh no, up to here. It will be the search field. You can see that it is the input field whose type is text and whose value is the search data. As you can see, as we know, here we need to pass the search data. So from the input field we get the value search data. On the change means whenever you change the text on that input field, handle input change one function will be called. What does it do? So handle input change function is here. It will set the search data. As I said, search data will be changed only by using the set search data. So set search data will set the value based will change the search data value based on the target value. Value is nothing but here what we get from the input field. As you yeah, the moment you typed in, the value will get here, and on every change that value will be set to the search data, and this data should be passed to the here. So how we gonna pass to the get data method? So there is a method called use effect in ReactJS. So whenever there is a change in any of these values, it may be search data, it may be sort data, it may be page data, or it may be order data, this use effect is going to call get data method for every change in these array. These array, what we call these array, we call it as a dependency array. So whatever the change occurs, any of these dependencies, this get data method will be called. For every call, these values will be updated for respective updations. Okay, clear? Now what do these sort options do? Here is the sorting buttons. Okay, this is the time, this is the date, this is the sort by date method, sort by date button, this is the sort by time button. What will it do? On click, it will call the set sorting method with the parameter as time. So let's see what set sorting button will do. Logic will be same for both the methods, both the buttons. Let's see what set sorting method will do. Here we can see set sorting method will get the sorting by either it may be date, either it may be time. So there will be already sort data that we have passed by default. It could be date or it could be time, anything. So if whatever the initial value and the past value, if they are equal, we will toggle the sorting date. If they are not, we will just order in descending. Okay, let you see the things more precisely. Let me refresh this file. So by default I am sorting in ascending. So let me change that. Now you can see now I am by default ordering the data in descending now. So let's refresh. Yeah, now the default value will be date. So here sort data will be now date. Okay, sort by variable will get its data whenever I click on any of these buttons. If I click on this button, it will get the date. If I click on this button, it will get the time. So consider a case when I clicked on this button, date. Because I initialized this with date, this is also now becoming date. This condition becomes true. So the toggling order will be reversed. What is our default toggling order? It is given as true. True means descending. So it's now in descending. So according to our understanding, now the moment I clicked on the sort by date method, now this order should be toggled. That means it should be ascending now. Let us see that. See, it's changing to the ascending order. Data also. Yeah. Now you can see that sort data is now updated to the date. And if I click on the sort by time method, this sort by will be time. So these two values will be different now. So this method, so these two lines will be executed now. What will be executed? The sort data will be now by time, and the toggling will be descending. Let us see that. As you can see, this will be descending. That's how this two sort buttons will do. Let us see the toggling button, what it does. On every click on the button, it will call the toggle order method. So toggle order method, what will do? It will set the order into the whatever the initial state into the its opposite state. Like it could be in ascending, or it will set into the descending. Now present it is in descending. So the moment I click on this button, it will toggle it to the descending. Yeah, let me check that. So now it is in descending. Let me click on the same button. It's now ascending. See, that's how this toggling button do. Let me see. Let me tell you about show component data. Okay, here I am using a child component, that is the show component, within the parent component, that is app component. So let me open the child component here. Show component. This is the show component. Let me explain you this. Here also I am using the two state variables, that is show data and current page. Okay, whose default values are true and 1. So show data will have a true. That means whenever you refresh the page, you will obviously have to show the data, right? So and that's why I'm defaulting value to it's to the true. Now you can see in the show, you will observe that here is a hide records and show records, and here is a table. Let me first tell you about the table, then I will go to that button. Here you can see this is the table. This is just some bootstrap code. From here you can know current records. I will explain why current records. Just observe. Okay, I will explain current records now only. So you can see, well, current records are just props that we have passed from the app.js. You can see this is the props that we have. Props is nothing but properties that was passed from parent to the child. So this will get the properties from the parent, and from that data we will slice from first index of that particular page to the last index of that particular page. How we can find out the particular pages of first index and last index of that particular page? From this formulas. Okay, because we know that records per page is 20, right? We can easily find out that, and current pages are defaulted from 1. Okay, so current records will be the sliced value of data. So certain records, that is precisely 20 or less than 20 records, will be fetched to the current records. Now that current records will have JSON data. Well, every record is a JSON, right? So from every record, that is every JSON, from this it will be mapped to the row, and from every row we're individually accessing each item. Okay, since creation is also a JSON, we need to implement this syntax. Every row has its own index, so section number, serial number should be index. Okay, now I will explain you about the pagination. Here the pagination is, okay, this whole thing is about pagination concept. You can see there is a previous button and there is a next button. So what previous button do? It will decrease the current page number, right? So on every click it will decrease the page number. So next page, on every click it will increase the page number. So on doing that, if it reaches the current page as total pages, then it should be disabled, right? Yeah, and in previous page what it does is, on continuous pressing on previous, it will at one point of time it will reach the page number 1. So after that we don't need that button, we will disable that. In between there should be an array. That's array length will be this. Array dot from will create a subarray with the length of total pages Okay, I'll explain you what is a total pages. Well, total pages is props dot data length, that is number of records per page. Records per page is 20. So let's say if I have 50 records, by 50 by 20, what will be, it will be 2.5. So in math, dot seal method will round off to the upper limit. So 2.5 will be round off to the 3. So total pages will be 3. So this array will have 3 as size. So that's why I have getting 1, 2, 3 as array of numbers here. So for every number, I will have to identify the key as index plus 1. Since index is starting from 0, index plus 1 will become page number as 1, 2, 3 for 0, 1, 2 index numbers. So this is just bootstrap styling for each index number, and that's it. That's how this pagination is working. Now let me explain about this toggle button. So based on the show data, whether I have to show or not, if it's true, then it will show hide data. It doesn't hide the data, it will just show the hide data. If you want to hide the data, you need to click on that. See, all the records are closed. Show data, it will show all the records. So that's how this project works. Okay, now let me explain about the database, guys. For that, I might be requiring to open PostgreSQL graphical user interface. So let me open it up. PostgreSQL. pgadmin4 is the graphical user interface that enables us to interact with the databases and tables dynamically. Let this open up. Yeah, as you can see, it opened up now, and the table that we have used to connect with our Express server is right here. You see, customers 1. So yeah, we can see its properties, I think. Yeah, columns. Yeah, these are all the columns that I have used. Section name as integer, this is varchar integer. It's a JSON file because creation has two things. One is date, another thing is time. So that for that I was needed to create a custom data type with JSON file. Let me open up the query tool as well. So if I select all the rows from here, select star from customer 1, you can see all the data that I have fetched here. You can observe here the creation is a JSON file and it has objects. You can see. So in order to fetch these individual blocks, yeah, so to individually access all this, we need a different syntax for that. So that is why I have mentioned syntax like this here. You can see. Well, I'll demonstrate that as well now. Select star from customers and order by creation, and here I need to provide the object, okay, key. So if I run that, you can see they're all on default, they are all sorted on the ascending order. If I have to change the order, I have to explicitly mention that descending. You can see they are all ordered in descending order now. So that's how it works. That is why I have used this syntax for the ordering of data. And also, if I made any changes in database, that will also reflect in my application also. Let me just demonstrate that as well. Yeah, you can see the for an example, if this record has age as 23, and I can change that from here. Here, update customer 1, set age equal to, for an example, 26, 22, where I will give a command below, where customer name should be, I hope this could work. Customer name. You can see one record got updated, and we can also see that here. See, age is now updated to 22. So it is tightly bound to our app. This database is tightly bound to our app. And that's all, guys. It's your Chetan signing off. Bye.